I'm drowning in books. I always make a dent and then I'm like, oh, I made a dent, let's go to the bookstore. I'm so excited to talk about this book. TBRs. We all have them, they all haunt us, and they are never ending. My online TBR is like 600 books long, and then we have this monstrous pile of physical books that I have yet to read. A lot of these books range from books I've never picked up before to books I've tried to read before and then have put back in this pile in hopes that I will read them again. There are 25 books in this pile. I feel like my TBR has always been a similar height. I always make a dent and then I'm like, oh, I made a dent, let's go to the bookstore, and then I get more books. And this isn't even all of it. I probably have 10 more books in my dorm, but I really wanted to make a video going through my physical TBR pile. This is the first video I'm filming in 2023 and this is all I have because the rest of them are in my dorm. So I'm going to take you through all of the unread books I have, my physical TBR pile, because it's a monster, and hopefully making this video will reacquaint myself with some of these books in the pile, and hopefully maybe you guys can inspire me to read some of these if they're some of your favorites, or I don't know, I want to hear what you guys have to say. So let's get into it. I'm just gonna start from smallest to biggest. That's kind of the way I have it in the pile. Literally right before I started filming this, it fell over and then my camera battery died, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go put on makeup and actually like feel good for this video, so whatever. So, starting at the top of the pile. This book has been a year in my possession, which is kind of funny. I got this for Christmas last year. I got it from my amazing brother. I started reading it last summer. It was like May, because I remember it was right when I was in the middle of finals, or I just finished finals. I was like, ooh, I'll finally pick this book up. But because it's a sci-fi, it was so dense in world building and new vocabulary that I was like, I do not have the brain power for this right now, and I put it down, and I think I tried to pick it up again and I just couldn't get into it. I do want to give it another chance. It's just I'm not in a sci-fi mood right now, but I've like heard things about this book. I always see it in the sci-fi shelves, so I want to give it a chance, but I just don't think it's its time yet. I think that's a beautiful thing about books and having a physical TBR is when the time is right, that book will come to you, or you will feel inclined to read that book, and I think that's such a cool thing, and I like really like to embody that. Maybe that is me excusing myself for not reading all these books, but their time will come and maybe it won't, and that's okay. Also, a lot of these books on this shelf are either thrifted, gifted, a couple of them are full price bought, but a lot of these I've had for a while. Next up we have Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. This is definitely going to be read in the next couple months, maybe even in my next reading challenge. I really have always wanted to read this book. I got it on Thrift Books. This is not begrudgingly in this pile. This is definitely going to be read soon. I just haven't had the chance to yet. Next we have Fool's Assassin by Robin Hobb. As you can see, I have a bookmark in this. I follow somebody on Instagram and they were reading this book and they were reading the trilogy and they had finished it and they were like so emotional over it, and it really inspired me to try to read it. And I started it, I got 175 pages in, and I was like, this is so slow, and it is. And I've heard amazing things about the writing in this book. The writing is not bad, it is just slow, and I'm not one to really enjoy slow books, but I know that this is a beautiful book. And actually, this is kind of something I wanted to talk about for my reading goals for 2023. I want to slow down this year. I think that having big goals is amazing, but because I'm in college, I have so much work, and because I like love to read, sometimes I put pressure on myself to read so many books, and then I don't let myself read the slow books, so I'm like, oh, this is like taking away from my time of reading other books. I could read 2 books in this week, and instead I've just read 1 because it's so slow. And I kind of want to embrace the slow books if I enjoy them, and I think I will enjoy this book. So this is definitely a book I want to read again, but also I'm very bad at reading slow books when I'm really busy with college because I need something fast-paced, so maybe this will be picked back up in the summer. Next we have The Couple Next Door. This is like the only thriller, okay, that's a lie. This is like the second thriller I own, and I got this at a little free library in my neighborhood, and it's been sitting here. And I want to read it. I know like basically nothing about it, but I know it was popular on Book Talk for a little bit, and yeah, it got to me. It's a free book. That's like all I have to say. I'll read it eventually. Next we have a book that I'm in the middle of. I put these in the pile because I like come in and out of reading them. From mindfulness to heartfulness. I had to read this for my business class. Obviously I only got like a third through it, but this is something I really want to finish because I'm very business oriented. I run a business and I'm really trying to learn more about running a business efficiently and effectively and all the things that goes into it. And this book isn't fully about business, it's more about like mindfulness, but it's very important, I think, in every way of life, but also within business. So something I really want to finish soon. So this is going in my like read soon pile. I think I'm making piles while doing this. Again, college just got super busy and I couldn't finish it. That's another thing I want to do this year. I want to read more nonfiction books a lot. I definitely neglected that this past year, and it's something I love reading nonfiction. I love gaining new knowledge and insight and perspectives, and that's something I really want to focus on this year as well. I'm so excited to talk about this book. Whew. Okay, so I literally got this a few days ago at a upstate bookstore. This is the 10th anniversary edition of Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. It is absolutely gorgeous. It is a hardcover. It is embellished. It is so beautiful. It's like engraved with this gold ornamental design, and it's so beautiful. This book pages has a design on it in it as well. It has a bookmark. I got this for $25 and I had to get it. I like happened upon it on the shelf, and I've never read this book before, but I saw it and I was like, I need that. Like, this is so beautiful. I know I'm gonna love this book. At least I really hope I will. So I'm really, really excited to read this. I want to read this as soon as possible, but I go home in like 2 weeks, so I don't even know how much I'm going to be able to read within that time period, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm planning to do a book challenge starting in the next couple days to try to like eat up some of this TBR pile, so we'll see how that goes. But this is like one of the most beautiful books I own now, and it's starting my like beautiful copy collection, so that is very, very slow growing, but I'm so glad that that is the start of it. Next we have Certain Dark Things by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I have read one of her books before. I got this book when I went to Blue Stockings in New York City, and I just haven't had the chance to read it. I was hoping to read it in a fall, like around, because it's a vampire book, so you know, but just never got the chance to read it. Of course, I plan to read it, I just, again, don't know when. Okay, this one's a troublesome one. This one has been sitting on my nightstand for months. I only got 42 pages into it, which says a lot because normally I try to go 100 before I like DNF it. And a lot of the times when I DNF a book, I'm temporarily DNFing it in hopes that I'll come back to it. But I don't know, I just couldn't get into the world building in this book. I don't think it had a strong grasp on my attention. I might give it another chance, I might not. I might try reading a couple more pages and then decide to sell it. We'll see. I had high hopes for this book and it just did not deliver, and I'm curious to see what you guys thought of this book and should I continue it, because I've heard really good things about it, I just haven't enjoyed it. This is another one that has suffered the prolonged abandonment on my nightstand. A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. This is going, or Eckhart Tolle, this is going in my read soon pile because I do really want to read this book. I got 89 pages into it and I never really like purposely stopped reading it. I just, other things took priority, and do really want to read this book. Again, another book you kind of have to be very mindful on reading and take pauses from it and apply it to your life. So definitely another mindful read that I want to take my time reading. Okay, I am going to talk about my Murakami books together because why not? We have two. We have Hard-Boiled Wonderland and The End of the World, and then Norwegian Wood. Norwegian Wood is I'm a part of the book club at my college, and the Norwegian Wood is our next read. I have to read it by the end of January, so I'm gonna start reading this soon. It is very short, 300 pages, not even, so I am definitely gonna get through this really quickly. The only Murakami book I've read before is Kafka on the Shore, and although I had trouble getting into it, it is a book that has really stuck with me. Like, I think about it a lot. So I am excited to read more of Murakami's books. I also just love the covers and the way they go together, so I'm excited to read these two books for sure. I really need to read this book. Next we have Binti by Nanidi Okorafor. I have no idea if I said that right. I really hope I did, but apologies if I didn't. This is the third book. I have read the other two, and I also have a couple of her other books on my shelf. I just never got the chance to read it. I read this like 2 summers ago, so I don't know. Another one that has just suffered like being stuck on this stack and never really getting to, but not by any like malintent. It's just things happen. So another book I could get through really quickly, it's 200 pages. I feel like I should make like a short pile of books that I can read like within a challenge really easily, because I have been thinking about doing the 7 books in 7 days challenge. I'm just really daunted by it, but maybe if I do some shorter books it won't be as bad, so we'll see. We're not talking about this book. One of my family members gifted me this a couple years ago. I'm not into NFTs, but I want to be open-minded in terms of like, they gifted me this book, I'll read it, but I just haven't brought myself to. I'm not a fan of them. Maybe this will give me an interesting perspective, but this has rightfully sat on my TBR for a long time. Another book I really need to read, it's not really like a book you read, it is more so recipes and spells, so something you just look through, so I need to look through this. It's called The Spellbook for New Witches, Essential Spells to Change Your Life. I have browsed this before, but I need to more intentionally look through it, so I will do that at some point. This book has been on my pile since summer because I got this at the flea market at the end of the year at my school. Everything within and in between, and it is a ARC. It's an advanced reader's copy, but it sounds really interesting and I really want to read it. I just, again, have never got the chance. It has not called to me yet. Another really short book, 300 pages. Jeez, what am I doing? This book, Gideon the Ninth. I have tried reading this a couple times and I started rereading it or reattempting to read it and couldn't get into it again. I know that I've heard so many good things about this book. I really want to get into it. It's just so slow going, and again, I really struggle with reading slow books. I don't know, it's like an interesting dilemma because sometimes I actually really enjoy slow books. I'm reading A Secret History right now and I'm loving it, and I feel like that's a pretty slow-paced book for like the first couple hundred pages, but again, I need to read this. I want to read it. It just has not called to me. I have not enjoyed reading it so far, but I know it's a really good book. Let me know what you think. Let me know when I should read it. Should I read it? What did you think when you read it? I'm curious. Okay, I got this at a little free library. I brought this home with me from New York in hopes that I would read it this trip. The Immortalists. Got this a while ago. It's so beautiful and it's set in New York City, so I feel like I really love it. But I need to read this. It's a little longer, 340 pages, but again, manageable, so I'm hoping to read that soon. Okay, this goes in the I read in this semester but never finished. Creative Careers, Making Living with Your Ideas. It has also a bookmark that I drew, just want to show that. A really amazing book. Again, just got caught up with college and didn't feel like reading it, and it wasn't required reading in my class, it was just suggested, but another book that I really want to take the time to finish because it gave so much incredible insight. I highly recommend this book. It's a really good book, and I got 100 pages in almost, and I definitely need to finish it. This book I've been in the process of reading, I think since 2020. It is a history textbook. I also don't have a bookmark in it. Hello? Lies my teacher told me. It is a revisionist history textbook about essentially James Lowen, which I think he unfortunately passed away a couple years ago, which is so sad because his work is incredible. But basically, he revised the 6 most famous and popular history textbooks in the US and told you what's correct. Went through the history that is not properly taught and went through it and told you what actually happens. So it's a really dense and important book. Again, it's just hard to get through and I just haven't dedicated enough time to it, but definitely something I want to finish within this year because it has so much important information and I've learned so much from it and I want to keep learning from it. In the same vein, I have another James Lowen book, Lies Across America, What Our Historic Sites Got Wrong. This, at least the concept of this book, gives me similar vibes to How the Word Is Passed, which is something I've read this summer that I absolutely loved. So another book I really want to read. They just take so much time, and I really hope to dedicate enough time that these books deserve this year. Okay, I literally was talking to my mom about this a week ago because I was going through this pile and I was like trying to decide if I should get rid of anything, and I asked her opinion on this and she's like, it's a classic, you have to read it. So I need to give it a chance. It's sat here for like a few years. I was gifted this, I think, for my birthday a few years ago, I think, or maybe I went out and bought this on Thrift Books. Either way, it's sat here for a while and I need to read it because I know I'm gonna like it, or at least I really hope I'm gonna like it. I feel like sometimes when I get thrift books, I let them sit for so long. I don't know if it's just the energy of them is like, I didn't go out and buy them, like physically, so I'm not super excited about them. I don't know, that's contradictory because I've definitely gotten books on thrift books where I've read in like weeks, days, but I don't know, sometimes there's just an energy to the books where I just let them sit for forever until they finally come to me. Maybe because I didn't spend full price on them, so I'm like, oh, they can wait. Because I'm like, oh, I just spent $20 on this book, I should probably read it. I don't know, does that make sense? Okay, next we have The Night in Its Moon. I started reading this fall, this winter-ish. I definitely want to finish it. It's no fault of the book, it's just that the time I was reading it, I think I was reading it like right before finals ramped up. Oh no, it was right before Thanksgiving, and then another book that I had been highly anticipating coming out came out and just got pushed off so that I could read the other one. And I just haven't given the time to come back to it, but I definitely want to, and I know I will soon. Another thrift books by Eldest, which is the second book in the Aragon series. I've only ever read this first book, and I reread the first book this summer, and I want to finish the series, but look how chonky this dude is. It is a thick book, 619 pages. The only like 600-page books I really read are like Sarah J. Maas books and Jennifer Armentrout books, but I'm gonna give this book a shot. I think I'll probably try to finish the series this summer, because again, summer is like typically when I can actually slow down and read slower books and I don't feel guilty for reading them. Definitely something I'm working through this year, but I want to read this. I just know it's not gonna be soon. Another thrift books read, East of Eden. I think I saw this on Jack in the Book's YouTube and I was like, oh, I want to read that. I barely have any idea what it's about, but look how beautiful this copy is. It like, okay, when I first got it, I won't lie, I thought it was dirty because of the way it looks, but it's not. And I love, love, love when pages are cut this way, when they're like textured. I think it's the most beautiful thing ever. So I really want to read this. It is a long book, almost 600 pages, but I know it's a beautiful book. I really want to read some more classics this year. That's another thing. I want to diversify what I read for sure. I love fantasy, but honestly it's been getting a little repetitive to me lately, and I really want to read books that expand my vocabulary, honestly, too. Like, reading The Secret History has kind of brought into my love for it and reminded me how much I love like literary fiction and stuff like that, so it's definitely something I want to get back into this year for sure. The final book is another thrift books purchase. I need to read this. Stonewall. It's about Stonewall, the riots that sparked the gay revolution by David Carter. Again, like obviously very important history, something I really want to understand more because obviously that is so close to my heart. So something I'm definitely going to read very, very soon. Again, like I said, I want to read more nonfiction, so I have quite a few nonfiction books in these piles that definitely want to get into, so excited to read this and give this a chance at some point. I have a book on transgender history in my shelf at home, which I think I might do another haul if you guys are interested in it, just to see what those books are, because this has been really fun to like take you through all these, and again, like has refamiliarized me with what is on my shelves or stack. And I know I have other books that I haven't read that are like interspersed throughout my bookshelf and my other stacks. Like I'm looking at one, Furyborn. I have not read that. I tried reading it, couldn't get into it, but I liked the world building, so I want to get back into it, and I've seen it so often in fantasy people's shelves and stacks, so I want to give it a shot. Yeah, I definitely have stuff on my shelves that I haven't read yet, or haven't read in a while, or don't remember reading that I want to read again. I want to do a video of what I want to reread this year, but this video has definitely taught me what I have on my shelves and that I need to prioritize them. I'm sure we're all guilty of like putting ourselves on book buying bans and then never actually instating them or always breaking them, but I'm really gonna make an effort this year to finish all the books on my TBR pile as well as I can. I know there will always be a couple books that I can never really get to until I want to, but that is definitely something I'm going to make an effort to do this year. So what I have in my immediate reads pile are these. And I think I could get through these over break. Unfortunately, a lot of these are like newer reads or books that I have not been sitting here for that long, but that's okay. They're all relatively short too, so maybe in the next challenge video I will read all of these. We'll see. This isn't even all of them, but all of the books that I have yet to read and that did not make it into the immediate reads pile, but will be read soon. So I know they will. They're falling Yeah. Yeah. Whatever. I'm drowning in books. It's fine. But this was a really fun thing to do and go through. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what's on your physical TBR. What do you want to read next? What has been sitting on your shelf for so long that you have not gotten to? Because I know we all have them. But I hope you enjoyed. This is the first video I'm filming in 2023. It's probably the first one that's going to go up. So that's really exciting. I can't wait for this year. Definitely going to focus more on book content and art content. So be sure to stay tuned for that. But I appreciate you all so much. I can't wait for all this year has to hold, and I'm so excited. And thank you for coming along on this journey with me, and I will see you guys very, very soon. Bye!